Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out some very fun battles in the Open Master League featuring a triple dragon team. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now this team consists of the Creation Trio. There's Dialga on the lead, Giratina Origin running Dragon Pulse instead of Ominous Wind as the save switch, and Palkia with Draco Meteor as the closer. And this trainer goes on a pretty nice run with the team. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the Creation Trio in action in the Master League. Hopping to the first match and leading into the Dialga mirror, with two more dragons in the back, definitely going to want to stay in this matchup and play it out. Going for the Iron Head right off the bat, wanting the opponent to let this damage through. Iron Head does get no shielded, and now this trainer can shield once and farm all the way down. Opponent is going to be firing off their own Iron Head, that's perfectly fine. They get the farm down and leave with a nice amount of energy to threaten whatever the opponent has in the back, which ends up being a Ho-Oh. Dialga going straight for the Draco Meteor. This will do quite a bit of damage, so the opponent is going to commit the shield. With two dragons in the back, honestly both Pokemon do pretty well against Ho-Oh. Going to send in Giratina. Opponent farms all the way up to 100 energy and is going to fire off their first charge move. Opponent baits with Sacred Fire and unfortunately is able to get the attack drop. This is the Brave Bird. We do see the shield come up from the Giratina. We still don't know what their final Pokemon is, and it's their own Giratina Origin. These Dragon Tails from Palkia absolutely shredding the Giratina. Palkia will fire off an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, of course, not going to be doing a lot of damage, but any chip damage helps in this matchup. Giratina will go for the Shadow Ball. That will connect onto Palkia. Palkia continues to farm, going for the farm down, but can't quite get there. Giratina, last second Ominous Wind, down goes Palkia. Giratina is going to be able to farm down. Back in comes Ho-Oh, and we are going to see Giratina go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball won't quite KO, but it will get close. Can Giratina farm down? Yes, it can. And that is a good game. Nightmare lead in the next match, Dialga into Excadrill. Dialga is going to farm up a little bit and then save switch into Giratina Origin. Exca actually staying in this matchup, so Giratina is going to fire off the Shadow Ball. This will deal big damage if it lands. Opponent will commit the shield. Exca staying in here and firing off a charge move. We are going to see Giratina mirror shields. One drill run, of course, not going to KO, but if two drill runs land, that would start to get the Giratina low. Drill run number 2 is going to connect, getting Giratina below half health. We are going to see a save switch into Lugia. Lugia definitely not going to appreciate the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is able to connect, getting Lugia below half health. Lugia barely able to outpace the Giratina here. Giratina is going to commit the shield and then take advantage of the desync switch timers and send in Dialga. Dialga going to try and commit to the farm down here. Dialga barely not able to farm down as Lugia reaches a charge move. It's just a Sky Attack. Dialga able to tank it, farm down, and leave with a nice amount of energy to threaten the Exca if that's what the opponent decides to send in. Opponent is going to send in the Exca. Dialga going straight for the Draco. Draco takes down the Excadrill in the back. The opponent has Mewtwo. Mewtwo continues to farm, and they're going to let this debuffed Iron Head come through. Iron Head not going to be doing a ton of damage, so Mewtwo is going to trade that damage instead for a bunch of energy. Psystrike is going to KO here. Giratina does have a move loaded, but at this point, you can probably just take them out with fast move pressure. Palkia, these Dragon Tails tearing through Mewtwo. Mewtwo is going to be forced to fire off the back-to-back Psystrikes to KO here. In comes Psystrike number 2, and this is just going to take one Shadow Claw from the Giratina to take out the Mewtwo and secure the win. Moving into the next match, leading Dialga into Togekiss. This is definitely where you want to see a Charmer on this team, but if Togekiss double shields, things could get tough very quickly. Dialga is going to fire off the Iron Head, and it's decision time for the opponent. They are going to shield up the Iron Head and continue to farm. Togekiss will fire off a charge move before Dialga reaches Iron Head number 2, and we are going to see an immediate shield of the Ancient Power by Dialga. Dialga reaching another Iron Head. Is this Togekiss going to double shield? They do not, and they get taken out. That is incredibly good. We see a save switch into Giratina. Giratina is going to be met with Dragonite. Here's the thing. Dragonite may not be expecting the Dragon Pulse. Farming up. Going to go for the Dragon Pulse. Does the Dragonite expect the damage? They do! They commit the shield, and that is absolutely heartbreaking. And now it's all up to Palkia to try and close out this match. In comes Palkia. These Dragon Tails adding up quite a bit. Man, I really wanted to see that Dragon Pulse land. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Palkia shields up the Dragon Claw. Opponent reaches one final Dragon Claw. Is this enough to KO the Palkia? Palkia barely able to hang on in the back. They have Gyarados, and it's Waterfall. Palkia able to survive, reach the Draco Meteor, take out the Gyarados, and win the game. Bit of a tough lead in the next match, Dialga into Genesect. Genesect does of course have access to Techno Blast, which can hit this entire team for either neutral or super effective damage. We see the immediate no shields from the Dialga. Techno Blast will do a lot, but Dialga will be able to tank it. Dialga is going to be going straight for the Draco Meteor, hoping to try and land the nuke. Draco Meteor able to connect, and they get taken out. In comes Giratina Origin, which will be met with Palkia. Palkia tearing through Giratina with these Dragon Tails. Shadow Ball will do a lot of damage, but it's not enough to KO. Opponent does have Zacian in the back though, and as we've seen with the triple Dragon team, Fairy types, very tough to handle. Palkia is going to fire off a second Aqua Tail. If this can land, maybe Giratina can farm down. But the opponent is going to commit the shield. That is not great. Palkia farming up, able to reach a last second Aqua Tail. This is big. Opponent is going to let that through. Zacian leaves with a massive amount of energy, but not a lot of HP. Gonna send in Dialga to force them to throw, and then basically just trust in Giratina to try and sweep. Close combat will take out the Dialga. In comes Giratina. Opponent is gonna reset their defense debuff and send in their own Tina. We do see the immediate shield. Opponent goes for the Ominous Wind, and they do not get the boost, thankfully. Farming up, going for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, of course, will easily KO. This is a situation where it would be nice to have Ominous Wind, because Ominous Wind is, of course, cheaper. Giratina is going to commit the shield. Can Giratina farm down before Zacian reaches the next player of? Giratina gets the farm down, and that is a good game. Bit of a tough lead in the next match, Dialga into Metagross. Dialga is going to farm up a little bit of energy and then save switch into Palkia. Metagross staying in, so Palkia is going to fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will do some neutral chip damage onto the Metagross. Aqua Tail lands, Metagross is going to bank their energy and send in Snarl Zacian. Zacian, especially the Snarl form, is absolutely terrible for this triple dragon team to see. Aqua Tail lands, and it's a CMP tie to what could be a Play Rough. Palkia lets it through. It is the Play Rough, and Palkia gets taken out. And this is going to be very, very tough. I think you have to send in Giratina here, because at the very least, Giratina paces the charge moves faster than Dialga. Giratina is going to farm up and fire off the Shadow Ball, but at this point, the opponent has seen its Triple Dragon, so odds are they are probably going to be shielding the Zacian. They do commit their first shield, and we're going to see Giratina match shields with the Play Rough here. Giratina continues to farm. Opponent is going to send in Kyogre. They recognize Kyogre is not a part of the win con, so they're basically just going to sacrifice the Kyogre. Building up to the Draco Meteor, firing off the Iron Head. Kyogre is going to let this through. They're going to save the shield, probably for the Zacian. This could be the Blizzard. Just going to let this go. Dialga gets taken out by the Blizzard, and now it's time for Giratina to farm all the way down. Giratina needs to leave with 100 energy to try and win this match. Giratina leaves with 100 energy, but the downside is that Giratina is going to lose CMP to Metagross. Metagross does have the Meteor Mash loaded. Giratina is going to let that through. Meteor Mash would do less than a Play Rough, firing off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to get the shield. Giratina able to reach another Shadow Ball. The question is Giratina going to be able to reach a Shadow Ball before Zacian gets the Snarl down? In comes Zacian. This is going to be close. Giratina dies with the move. Hopping into the next match, picking up a tough lead Dialga into Landorus. Not the greatest matchup ever. Dialga is going to farm up a little bit, save switch into Giratina, and Giratina is going to be met with Shadow Snorlax. And this Shadow Snorlax does not know what it got itself into, because this is not your ordinary Giratina. It is running Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse able to land and deals a massive amount of damage onto Snorlax. Snorlax is stuck throwing these double resisted body slams, and they are just not going to be doing nearly enough damage. Dragon Pulse number 2 is going to connect, getting the Snorlax extremely low. Snorlax is going to fire off another body slam. The question is, can Giratina actually flip switch here? Giratina continues to farm. Snorlax reaches a last second body slam. This is not going to be enough to KO. Giratina lets it go. Giratina goes for the farm down and gets it, leaving with a charge move loaded. In comes Dialga. Dialga will be met with a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does get shielded. Opponent's Dialga does not get a lot of farm, which is nice. So that way, in the Dialga mirror, it's a fairly even footing in terms of energy. Dialga is going to go straight for the Iron Head. Opponent knows it's just an Iron Head, so they don't have to shield, but at this point, all you want is just the damage. From here, you could just trust in Palkia to win this game. Opponent full sends the Draco Meteor, in comes Palkia, and the opponent will respond with Landorus. Landorus does have some loaded energy, so we will see an immediate shield from Palkia on the Stone Edge. Palkia is going to start firing off these Aqua Tails. First one will get the shield, but the Landorus only has one shield remaining, so Landorus is in a lot of trouble here. Landorus is going to fire off a move on the CMP tie to the Aqua Tail. Landorus goes for the superpower. We do see Palkia commit the shield. This Aqua Tail will, of course, be lethal, and then Palkia will be able to take care of the Dialga before Dialga reaches any move of consequence. Palkia gets the farm down and secures the win. Picking up a tough lead in the next match, Dialga into Groudon, and it's a mud-shot Groudon as well, which is even worse. Dialga farming up, switching, and catching onto the Giratina. Very nicely done. Even so, this Earthquake is going to hurt, taking the Giratina below half health. Groudon is going to farm back up the energy they just lost, but not before Giratina reaches a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does get shielded by the Groudon. Opponent is going to bank that energy and send in their own Giratina. Opponent will go for the Ominous Wind just before they're able to reach the Shadow Ball. That is unfortunate. Down goes Giratina, but now the opponent's Giratina is switch locked, and this sets up Dialga for a nice farm. In comes Dialga, farming up quite a bit of energy here. Dialga will go for the Iron Head, but this is not Iron Head range. Opponent will be able to no-shield this and reach a Shadow Ball. They let it through, and on very low HP, they are able to make the Shadow Ball. That is a little unfortunate, as Dialga is forced to burn a shield. Opponent is going to send back in Groudon. This is enough for the Earthquake. Decision time. Dialga commits the shield, and it's the Earthquake. That is a big shield. Dialga continues to farm. Dialga going for the Iron Head. Iron Head will, of course, be lethal if the opponent lets it through. Opponent committing the shield. They want to get rid of this Dialga, and they're going to be able to do exactly that. Groudon, Earthquake, KOs, in comes Palkia. In the back, the opponent has Metagross, and this is suddenly looking very, very doable. One Earthquake from Metagross is not going to be enough to KO Palkia, and Palkia should be able to reach the back-to-back Aqua Tails. This will be the Earthquake from Metagross. It's going to get Palkia quite low, but not in a range where Palkia is going to get farmed down. Palkia reaches Aqua Tail number 2. This will be getting that Metagross incredibly low. Palkia going for the farm down and gets it. Back in comes Groudon. These mud shots are not enough to KO. Palkia hanging on very low HP, taking out the Groudon, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, picking up a pretty decent lead, Dialga into Mewtwo. Opponent is going to save switch into Quick Attack Zacian, which will be met with Giratina. This matchup is helped a lot by the fact that Zacian is running Quick Attack, as Giratina can comfortably tank a Play Rough, secure in the knowledge that there is no way they are getting farmed down. Giratina will go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is not going to KO here, but it will get the Zacian incredibly low. Zacian will reach Play Rough number 2, and we are going to see a shield from the Giratina, wanting to try and maintain switch. Giratina could have overfarmed more, but decides to fire off the Shadow Ball just to be safe. Shadow Ball is going to KO. Opponent can bring back in the Mewtwo, but they're going to take some pretty significant Shadow Claw damage to do so. Opponent is going to send back in the Mewtwo. Mewtwo fires off the Psy Strike right away, but they definitely took some chip damage to do so. Mewtwo takes out the Giratina, and now we're going to see the Dialga brought back into the Mewtwo, but now down a shield. In comes Dialga. In the back, the opponent has Excadrill, and this is really bad. Exca will fire off a Drill Run. Drill Run will do massive damage, but not KO Dialga. Dialga is going to let that through and bait with an Iron Head. This should be grabbing a shield, and then it's going to be up to Palkia. In comes Palkia. Palkia will be met with a Drill Run from the Exca. Drill Run, of course, is not going to KO. Palkia lets that through, farming up, and will make it to the Aqua Tail. Is the opponent willing to give up their final shield, or are they saving it for Mewtwo? Opponent is going to save it for Mewtwo. In comes Mewtwo. Mewtwo, farming up a ton of energy, lets Palkia get to an Aqua Tail. That is quite nice. This Aqua Tail is going to grab the final shield. Opponent continues to farm. They have a ton of energy here. Palkia is just going to let this go and try and farm down with Dialga. Dialga is incredibly low. Can Dialga survive the Psycho Cuts? Opponent will fire off a charge move. Are they at the back-to-back here? Dialga shields, takes out the Mewtwo, and secures the win. All in all, I had an absolute blast getting to make content during Season 12 of Go Battle League. As this video is posted on the final day of the season, this will be my final video of Season 12. So instead of my usual outro, I did want to say thank you to everyone who has supported my content. from the start of the channel, and especially during this past season. The growth on the channel and the support has just been absolutely incredible, so thank you guys so much. And as always, a special thank you to our members on YouTube. The support you guys provide is extremely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until season 13, I've been HomeSliceHenry.